I'd like to begin by saying I have to hide my identity because of the ridicule that follows anyone that as much as mentions the word flat earth. I have spent my life working hard, 45 years or more, and providing for my family and myself, keeping my head above water, paying the rent, usual stuff. And during this time, you don't really get a lot of time to sit back and ask the question, who am I? Where do I come from? What's it all about? Alfie, you don't get that. You're too busy planning for the future and earning money. But eventually you get old like me and you retire and you have plenty of time to sit back and think about who you are, what you did, and so on. And with the wonder of the internet, you can ask a question and then look it up and get the answer. You don't even have to have anybody in the room. You've got all the scientists, all the geniuses at your fingertips. And I eventually began to ask myself, if I'm spinning around on a ball at 1,035 miles an hour, why am I not aware of it? Why can't I feel it in any way? And if the planet I'm on is spinning through space at 67,000 miles an hour around the moon, why can't I feel that? I've spent the last 12 months or thereabouts looking into various aspects of the flat Earth. Now, whether the Earth is flat or not, I don't really know. I have no idea. The only way you could prove that it is not a flat Earth is to take a film of the planet Earth from a shuttle or the ISS, a continuous 24-hour film that goes around, doesn't get interrupted, and travels around the world continuously for, say, a year, filming, non-stop filming, which is not a difficult thing to do. It'd be an easy thing for them to do on the ISS or on the shuttle or on a satellite, and show us every square inch of the planet. But there is absolutely no image available of all of the planet, filmed or otherwise, from space. There are CGIs, there are strips hackled together, there are mosaics, there are cartoons and drawings and illustrations, but there are no photographs anywhere of the planet Earth. Now you think, oh, that's bullshit. Go and have a look, and at the same time make sure you know it's not CGI, it's not a manufactured image. I can assure you there are no images. They're all manufactured, probably from the original image that was created called the blue marble, because that's what it looked like, the planet, when they created the image. It's been zoomed in and zoomed out, and the continents have been moved about, up, down. They've been enlarged and reduced down the years, and we've suckered and took it all in and believed it all, because we go to school to be taught knowledge to take out into the world and be equipped to earn our living. And if we learn properly and we can repeat it correctly as they've taught us, they'll give us a document, they will give us a grade, and we'll be moved up into another school. And if the same thing happens, we'll be given a university degree, and then we move up again into the world and we become a director or a blue-collar worker or things along those lines. And as long as you work within the parameters of living with this knowledge that you've been taught and no other, you'll succeed. But the minute you step away from this knowledge and look elsewhere, things start to go terribly wrong. Terribly wrong. I don't believe that we've landed on the moon. I believe NASA has been faking. This damn computer makes a lot of noise. They've been faking images, moon shots, Mars shots, everything, and making billions upon billions of dollars for nearly, I don't know, 30 years, 40 years, maybe more. Since Byrd went down to Antarctic and discovered that the Antarctic island, Antarctica, is a boundary, that when he flew over it, found that there was a wall that kept him in. He couldn't believe it. He came back and told them, and they sent him down there with an army of ships, planes, nearly 5,000 men, and they came back torn to pieces. A number of them had died. A number of airplanes had crashed because they flew them into the wall and they crashed on impact. They couldn't see the wall, but it was there. Now, to journey around Antarctica, they say you can do it, but they cannot do it. If you try and journey around Antarctica, you will find yourself traveling something in the region of 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles. It's been tried, it's been logged, and it just doesn't make sense. The reason being is there is no North Pole, there is no South Pole, there is only a rim of 100 to 200 feet of ice, keeping the seas, the oceans in, and keeping us in too. Now you've either stopped watching this, or you understand that there is another way of looking at things and not going by what you've been taught, thinking for yourself, not being influenced by people on YouTube, but looking at proof. And I do mean proof that the world is flat. There are over a couple of hundred ways it can be proved, yet we will not accept it. We won't accept it. The majority do not want what they've been taught ripped up and thrown away. They live in a comfortable life of lies. Why change it? Well, that's the question. Why change things? We have to change things for our children, for our grandchildren, and for the future. Because the world is heading towards annihilation, except for an elite of extremely wealthy people. Extremely powerful and wealthy people who are already building underground cities. We know about them and we ignore them. They give us the reason being that it's military. Mind your own fucking business. You can't go to Antarctica unless you're accompanied. You can't fly over it. You're not allowed to fly over it. No one ever has, except, of course, the military. It has a treaty that was drawn up in 1952, and it still holds, and every country on it, 47 countries, have agreed never to go there, never to dig for oil, never to mine, never to do anything there. Just stay away. And do you know why? Because of the wall. Because they will realize the earth is a flat plane. It is not spinning. Now, you're going to say, I'm an arsehole because you've got pictures of videos of the earth from the ISS and from the shuttle and all the rest of it. These are all concocted, manufactured in studios. Did you know that the US military have the biggest studios in the world for filming? There are areas on Earth and they are used for making these films. All the planets you see that they create, Pluto and Ceres and Europa, they're all manufactured, wonderfully drawn and then worked on in Photoshop and CGI'd I mean, you've only got to look at a modern day film to see what can be done. If you can think of an idea, you can actually create it on film. You can make people levitate. You can make them fly. You can make them what do they call them? Morph from one animal into another. You can make them shape shift. Now we watch it on film and we love it, but we know it's not real because we know how it's done. And what would happen if they eventually had to own up and say, okay, the earth is flat, we've been hiding it from you for lots of reasons. What would happen is that governments would fall. NASA would have to be disbanded. Observatories would have to be shut down. Everyone that was ever attached and all of the companies that made parts for rockets and cameras and propellants, etc. It's a massive industry all over the world, would be made redundant. Or at least that's what they think. But of course they wouldn't. We would still go on doing other things. We can go into space up to a certain height, a couple of 100, 400, 500 miles, I'm not really sure. But we can't get off the planet Earth. We can't, for instance, travel through the Van Allen belt. You would have to be covered in lead 2 foot thick to protect yourself. A spaceship would have to weigh about 1 billion tons for it to get off the ground. It would have to be massive. These things that you watch take off. They take off into the air, and then they veer to the right or to the left. You see it happening before your eyes, and they say that's just the curvature of the Earth. They are going downrange, and when they've gone out of sight, they return to Earth and they're picked up. And NASA has conned us all once again. It goes on and on. It's been going on for nearly 500 years since Magellan said he sailed round the world, since Copernicus wrote the book that he denied and refused to have published in his lifetime, that was published 67 years after he died, without his knowledge, of course, without his permission, saying the world was round, forced to do this by the Vatican. The Vatican, who has a massive telescope on the sky, its own private telescope, that knows there is no way off this planet. They are looking for things that are coming to us, hopefully coming to us. They're looking out to see beyond the firmament, as it's known. Now, what the firmament is, I do not know. But they're looking through the firmament beyond to see if anything is coming our way. Now, I'm not going into religion. I struggle with religion. But I must say, now that I've had time in my later years to study, I'm coming round to the idea that there could be a creator or even creators. And if we are in a situation where there is a firmament above our heads, then I just can't say it. Then we are all living our lives in a lie, and someone is creating the lie, and there's only one being that could do that. And if it's not God, who is it? Who could possibly work against him? Who would deceive us in this way? I'm not saying it, but I am saying this. The earth isn't spinning. That's nonsense. Look it up. Look up how it's supposed to happen. And then visualize it in your head. Forget about what you've been taught. And you'll realize it's not possible. We can't travel at those speeds. We can't be standing still. You can't put your finger out. You couldn't put your hand out of a jet window traveling at 1,000 miles. It would sandblast the skin off your bones. Oh, but it's all been held here by gravity. Gravity. Gravity holds the seas to the planet, supposedly. The seas weigh millions upon millions of tons. The force required to pull that water down and hold it in place would have to be unimaginable. And at the same time it pulls the sea down, it must pull everything else and hold it to the surface. But it wouldn't just hold it, would it? it would actually pull it flat bang against the surface. It would squash it into the surface. Unless, of course, gravity works a little bit here and a big bit there and a splash of intense gravity here and a sod-all gravity there for a butterfly and 60,000 tons of it over there for a battleship. It's nonsense. Absolute, utter, total nonsense. You know it, but you don't have time to look into it. You don't have time to think about it. You have to go and make a living. You have to go out there and earn a living. You have to work and listen and pay attention and do what you're told. You have to believe you're free when you're not free. You're a slave. You're a slave. You do what you're told by the police, by the council, by the government, by NATO, by the army, by the police, by your teachers, by your parents who have been done in the same way as you have, and their parents before them. And it will continue unless you look into it and begin to realize your life is one big lie. Freedom is out there. All it has to do is be exposed. All it has to do is be unveiled. And you and your children and your grandchildren will be free forevermore. And there will be no more of this nonsense of wars and machines and space programs while children starve to death. Countries slaughter each other because they're driven on by the need to create rockets, bombs, spy satellites, Star Wars rockets. Absolute rubbish. And you are responsible because you do nothing to stop it. Nothing at all. You just go on day after day being Mr. Nobody. It's time you started looking. It's time you stopped living this nonsense life of yours and got out there and lifted the veil back to find like-minded people, join together and make them prove the earth is round, make them prove gravity exists. Get the picture of the planet. Get the movie 24 hours going round the planet Earth without a break, without editing, without CGI. It can't be done. Never. It can never be done. And once you know the truth, we will set mankind free and we will bring down the elite, the controllers, the evil people that are willing to sacrifice the human race for the benefit of a nice life with lots of money. Now it's up to you to go out there and do what you want. You can be the same nobody you've always been, or you can have a look. The least you could do is look. Have a look. You've got the internet. It answers every question you could possibly ask. So get on with it. Now. Today. Thank you.